Welcome to Voices of the Underground, hosted by Young Ty and Robert Geaux.
2022, what a fucking year for music and this podcast. I'm your host, Young Ty, by the way, and I'm here with the Filipino Santa Claus, Robert Geaux. How's it going?
Cheers, Ty. Thank you for the lead in. I'm feeling very festive. It's the last episode of the year. It's what are we, about a week out from Christmas?
Yeah, about a week.
These are my favorite shows, dude. Like, these are my favorite shows where we can kind of sit back, reflect a little bit. We had quite a year, man. Like, I was looking at all the people we interviewed. It's a fucking insane list.
Yeah, and it's just going to get bigger from the guests that we have planned already for next year, but we'll get into that later on. What do you want to start this off with?
I think there's some major headlines. I found that was really interesting. When we were kind of prepping for this show, it was like, okay, what's happened? Because we live in like the moment, right? So I wanted to really scale back what's happened and the paradigm shift in music. Like, has there been an impact of it? I think in 2021, coming out of COVID, there were some good things, certainly. But this year, there was some major shifts within the industry. And I find that to be most fascinating. I mean, right at the top of the list is Hardwell, right? Like, especially in our world, him coming back, not knowing what he's going to play. Obviously, there's a ton of speculation, and you were there. You saw it.
I did, yes.
And that 1 hour, like, changed everything for the rest of the year. Like, you talk about a major impact. That for me, I think, is the top of the headlines.
You felt the wave and the power behind his set and all that, and you knew it was going to cause a ripple effect down the line.
Well, it was interesting because, like, I think if he'd come back and played the traditional big room, I think it would have been like, okay, the big room king's back, cool. Like, a lot of the niche people would have been excited, and the loyal fans, sure. I think it's interesting how well his new sound's been received. We're 8 months out from that date, right? So we've had like a pretty large sample size to see where it's gone. And it's like the old fans are still there, and he's picked up a ton of new fans. Maybe not the like hardcore techno traditionalists. I don't think that's a reach that he's really truly going to have. But like, even like the fans of Space 92 and those guys, they're following him, and they're running up those numbers on the Rebels Never Die. To me, that was just so huge for the industry to take that shift and to run with it.
Well, the shift also with the labels as well, too. The labels are catering to this new sound as well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the home label of Reveal, they're signing. I like it because they're signing more explorative tracks, right? Tracks that maybe they would have turned down. I think there's, the coin phrase big room techno. That's starting to pick up a little bit, right? That's starting to catch on a little bit. If you go to EDM.com, which never really, they never really
Jesus, to amaze me.
No, well, they don't even acknowledge big room. Okay. And that's a whole nother like segment, but it's interesting that they wrote about big room techno and how Hardwell. So I thought, to me, that was super fascinating. I thought, coming out of COVID, another big headline is all the festivals are fully open, right?
Oh,
no
thank
mask,
God. Yes.
fully open. Attendance is up. Obviously, Ultra ran it for the first time in a couple years, 3 years essentially.
EDC.
Yeah, and then EDC is like full swing, no mask, no kind of requirements there. So you could see the numbers tick up, and I gotta tell you, I mean, we having been in Vegas for the golden years of EDM, right? The late like 2009s, 10s, 11s, it feels like that again, right? It feels that again. You have like Swedish House Mafia. They're back doing their thing. They were Coachella, right? So they headlined Coachella. That was obviously really big. Obviously Hardwell's, we already touched on that. And then you have KX5, right? Where you've got Deadmau5 and Cascade, boom, making new tunes. And they dropped that.
Did you see that concert of theirs at the, what was it, LA Memorial Center or something?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely insane. It's the golden era. Like, I think we're back in it again. I think it's a different golden era. It's not the Steve Aoki, although he had a big hit recently. It's not that golden era per se. It's like the golden era of house, right? Like, it's
John
kind
Summits.
of like that. Exactly, dude. I thought another big story, I mean, speaking of like house and like techno, was Charlotte DeWitt, right? First female to close out the main stage of Tomorrowland. That was a big, interesting move. And also like how it moved the needle on techno, right? Everything is just Summit, house music, Charlotte DeWitt, techno. That shift is like we are in that era right now.
Oh yeah, even people like Oliver Heldens with his Hilo alias making techno music, which is pretty damn good. Have you heard some of his tracks by
I have
Hilo?
not. No, I have not.
Oh, you better go check it out. You got one with one of your favorites, Space 92.
Did you see? I think you sent that to me. I think you sent that to me. I like why doing these recap shows because then we can kind of revisit. Because my memory is the fucking worst, dude. It's not a good memory.
It's just hard for you to get here on time.
Dude, it's funny because I think for people at home and listening, it's like Ty will tell me 15 minutes in advance when we actually do the show with the guest, and I then get here right on time. So I appreciate that. But no, it's been a great year of music. It's been I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's been an interesting year of music. But yeah, another thing I thought really kind of surprised me quite a bit is what you were reporting coming out of Ultra, right? When you were talking about like the stages that were the busiest, that were the most hyped stages. There was a couple big room guys there. I think Micros was playing some big room for you guys yet. But yeah, I think if I remember correctly, those weren't the big high power stages for you guys.
No, in my opinion, the high power stage was the worldwide stage because you had a mixture of everything: drum and bass, dubstep. They even had some big room stuff too. They had Andrew Rayel. He was playing some of that stuff, mixing it up with techno. So you got that mixture of crowd is and everything. Where the main stage is more focused on the mainstream stuff, obviously, and all that.
Drum and bass. We're starting to see a big tick up in drum
Yeah,
and bass, and I think, I mean, obviously everyone's on the house train. And again, we talked about it, like in 2023, house is going to be the biggest thing. It's certainly, if it's not taken over, it will. Especially with some of the festivals that they start the new year with, Insomniac does. They're a huge pusher of house and then drum and bass, man. Like I know a lot of guys are kind of starting to push that again, like the early 2000s trying to drum and bass, and it's interesting to see. Like again, the shifts, the trends, everything goes in circles. But
comes
I think
back.
that's another genre. I think we're going to see a big tick up in 2023.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Big Room's going to make that full circle eventually, hopefully one day too, but it just needs to be innovated. Everything comes full circle. Yeah, we've seen trance. How long has trance been around for? And it's
Trance
it's
will
it's
never
getting even
die.
bigger now. Yeah, you're right.
Trance will never, it will never die. I was listening to some old school trance earlier today actually, and it's just like it's so good, dude. They're the one, they had the reverse kicks and all those things in the early trance days. Those were fantastic. It will never die. ASOT will be here long before, like long after I'm gone. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It'll be like ASOT 1,000,020. That and it has like the big core audience, and I just don't think that that's ever going to change either.
Yeah, can you see a hologram of fucking Armin van Buuren playing trance tracks
Oh, dude,
or way
100%.
way after he's gone?
Dude, that guy's never going to retire. You know what's great about this, unlike sports, is your favorite players, or in this case, your favorite artist, can stick around as long as like forever. Like David Guetta, right? That
Look
dude's,
at Tiesto.
yeah, exactly. He had his first kid like at 52. Like that's remarkable. Uh, so it's cool. Like they don't age out. Like in sports, man, you're over the hill at age like 30, 35, depending on what sport you play. So it's interesting to see like the names and the staying power. I'm always impressed. I'm always impressed by guys who have the competitive tenacity to stick around, right? So you've got multi-million platinum artists and like a David Guetta, like a Tiesto or an Armin and so forth and so forth. And they keep grinding, right? They still travel in the world, still doing over 100 dates a year,
Which they
still
don't have
cranking out
to.
tunes.
They really don't have to.
Yeah, those guys, I mean, they could sit on the beach and retire years ago, but it's like David Guetta is continuously pushing the envelope on his remixes, getting into the mainstream. Um, the Blue kind of remake or remix on the take with it, or the take on that. So, I mean, it's just incredible the tenacity these guys have, and then they produce with. Now they got a team, Ty. I think that's not a secret,
Yeah,
right?
we've
They,
talked
they
about
have a
it.
team. Yeah, they got a team. They got some help, but at the same time, you still got to be pretty hungry to kind of do all that.
Let's talk about who we've had on this show this past year. I could say we got a roster of people that we got on this show.
Oh shit! It's okay. I'm dying over here. I'm dying. I hope we get this in the shot. The shot was a little bigger than I thought. Oh shit! It's like, whoo, man! It's like a fire in my dude. Let's not do monsters and cinnamon whiskey while you're on air. It's not healthy. It's just not healthy. But no, to your point, the stable of artists that we were able to speak with this year was spectacular, man. It was, I think it was just far, it was so much more, not just the names of the artists, but the conversations we were then being able to have with the artists. That for me was amazing. Like you could just take the name out, right? Whether it's Ollie James or whatever. And I thought they shared so many so
Insight.
many important things. Yeah, the insight was amazing with these guys.
And a lot of stuff for like the producers and DJs to learn from and all that too. Look at Declane, look at A&G and what they were talking about and stuff. You could really take away a lot of stuff. Sunrise with her
Mm-hmm.
social media talking.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many nuggets, and it's cool because like so often, in a very competitive industry, right? That's what we're in, a super competitive industry. Everyone's trying to get
Especially
their
with
track
podcasting.
signed. Yeah, and then yeah, again, then on that side of it, podcasting, definitely there's so much out there. But them to take their time to kind of like walk you through and share stuff and like, hey, this is how we do it. I thought one of the most fascinating things all year long was the whole A&G thing. Like we've had a bunch of great conversations, but that one for me where they had like other jobs, right? So they're blowing up. They're doing 7, 8, 9 packs, and they're getting signed on Revealed and Rave Culture. That wasn't the only things they were doing. It was just literally the day before we filmed that episode is when Arturo and Gabriel moved in together, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do this full time." And we literally watched it all happen because like he was getting his car shipped from Florida, and we had to pause the podcast to have him coordinate that. Like it was really interesting. They kind of took us behind the scenes. And have you seen their TikToks or TikTok and their reels since then?
Dude, they've been amazing. Just because of chemistry and them being there all time together,
Yeah, they didn't live together full time. They weren't in the same states. They weren't even doing music full time. So, dude, their reels are so creative. They're fun, and in the comments you'll see some people say, "Hey, this is cringe" or whatever, and that's what they want. They want you to watch, and they are themselves, right? They are truly, truly themselves on that with just a little bit of production, but that's literally who you are seeing on camera is who they are off camera.
Yeah, same with Kavu. That was an explosive
Dude,
episode.
I could speak to that guy for hours. Like I feel like that could have been like a 4-hour Joe Rogan podcast, and he'd have just carried the team all the way through.
Yeah, if I didn't have something to do right after that, we could have went on for another hour or two. I was game.
Yeah, yeah, he is about sharing, right? Like the whole FLP thing, and in his mind in 2020 when he was doing all that, it was like, I'm gonna share, I'm gonna help, and that just was him doing that. And I think he said like, hey, we maybe gone a little overboard with it, but he's about that. Like if Kevu could help you, he would then help you, and I think that came off in the interview that way. Once again, a very like genuine like person that guy is.
Yeah, it was a good interview.
Dude, you remember Steve W?
Oh,
Still our most viewed episode. It was cool because we interviewed him right as the Rave Culture Discord opened. So it was like the timing on a lot of our episodes was amazing.
immaculate.
Yeah, right. Like just randomly, hey, new Discord out today. Actually, the same day that the Steve W thing, and it was cool because at that time he had talked about like trying to break through. He's a really talented producer, but he hadn't been on like a major label, like as far as a solo, right, on a major label like that, and he broke through in a big way.
Oh yeah,
That
implementing
that
his
was
guitar
interesting.
sounds and all that as well. The punk rock.
Yeah. Yeah, he broke out the guitars and we were like, okay. And then you hear the tunes come out throughout the year. He just had one with Kevu. Um, and you're like, that's Steve W's guitars. Like he has everybody looks for like a signature sound or how you process something. That's the Steve W guitars. I thought, and he broke that here on the first episode of the year. He's like, I got a lot of tunes with these guitars in them, man. You guys are gonna, and he
And he
played a
didn't
little
lie.
bit. No,
A
no, he
full
delivered.
year.
I'm so happy for him, man, because he was wanting to break through. Like he was always like the producer, like he didn't have the biggest following at that time, and now he's like mainstream, right? Like he is the like a mainstream known guy. Boom, Steve W, front and center on the artwork. I could not be happier for him because he's one of those guys who's helped a lot of people too, and he finally broke through as well.
Oh yeah, with his Patreon and all that.
Yeah, yeah. Weren't you a member of his Patreon?
Yeah, I
Aren't
still
you a
am.
member of his Patreon?
Yeah,
You are.
yeah.
Nice, man. Good for you, man. It's a good Patreon. He shares a lot of stuff. There's videos and stuff, right?
Videos. He does a podcast, gives samples, all kinds of stuff. It's really worth it. So
There you go. That's the Steve W endorsement right there. That was a fun one, man. That was a fun episode. That was a big episode too.
Ollie James. Let's talk about him. Well, before we get into it, you had your track with him. Did
I
real
did.
well. How's that going still?
So far, I know I listen to it every day. I'm running up those streams. Yeah, no, yeah. Break It Down with Ollie James was great, man. And again, it's not necessarily like, how do I say this? Who you work with is just as important as like all the numbers, right? Like you've seen collabs where people don't really connect and it's just kind of like two people throwing something together, label pushes it. Okay. When you collab with somebody like Ollie James, that especially on like Rave Room recordings, right? He definitely takes the time with the artwork, the video, and so forth. So it's like a complete process, and he's super cool with it. And it's a true collab because like we bounce things back and forth, and he's like, "Hey, can I change this melody a little bit?" Okay, boom, and then I sent him something back, and it was fun, man. It was just a really fun experience, and it's like it was a good experience because we've seen collabs where those people don't talk anymore after the song comes out
Oh yeah.
for one reason or another, and then things get messy. And so no, working with Ollie was fantastic, and working with him on the podcast was awesome, man. He talked about giving out nuggets. He dropped a lot of knowledge there too.
Yeah, about his walkthrough Wednesdays and everything, which I used to watch all the time and still do.
Yeah, no, dude, and I'm so happy for him. Like the collabs he has coming up in 2023 with the legend, like it's so well deserved. And he's a grinder. Like him and Kevu are very similar. I guess you throw Steve W into that too, like whether the young cell recording artist who really grew from that experience. They are flat out hardworking guys. Like above the talent and the musical knowledge and all of that, that's fine. That is what it is. I don't think those guys are the most talented guys. I don't think they would tell you that they're most talented guys. Mainly because they work in FL Studio. I'm kidding, Ty.
Okay. After this episode, I'm done with this joke.
We're retiring that in the new year. But they're not the most talented, but they might be the hardest working people I met in this industry in my time that I've been here. They might be the three most hardworking guys that I know.
There's a few others we can name and all that, but yeah, for the most part, who have been on this podcast and grinding and all that, that's fair to say.
Yeah, because they're doing the DJing part of it. Certainly, I know Ollie's picked up some really cool gigs, like the Ministry of Sound. I think that was the first time he played there this year, so he had a really big year too. But the content to get out these sample packs, obviously, like you said, the Patreon videos. I think Steve W does like you said, a podcast along with that. Like, and then the Discord, right? They all have their own like Discord or WhatsApp group, and they connect with people there. I think it's fascinating that how well they're able to kind of multitask and handle all that.
And how well they are connected to the underground scene and helping these other producers.
Yeah, they're in there, right? They're in these Discord chats, like the the revealed one, intensity one. They're in there. They're seeing these. That's another thing, man. You really got to be careful what you're writing. You really got to be careful what you write in these Discord chats because these dudes, I'm telling you, they see it.
They do.
They see it, and they're pretty game for it, and they might not respond to it, but they absolutely see it, which is kind of cool. I think it's a double-edged sword, but it's pretty cool. They can kind of get an idea of what their fan base is thinking.
Let's switch it up a little bit. Speaking of Patreon, we got a Patreon coming out in January.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. We've been kind of working on it this whole year. We've talked to some of the fans of the show, some of the contributors of the show, kind of behind the scenes as to what they would want. And I think the number one thing is just more access, right? More access and to be a part of the show, a bigger part of the community. So I'm really excited about the Patreon because we're able to kind of take the veil down, show them like what happens behind the scenes with these artists of the show. They can get involved more now on through the Patreon. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to meet more people on more kind of an intimate basis, I guess you can say. So that's going to be a really huge thing for the show upcoming.
Yeah, it's going to build the community and everything because, like you said, get them more involved and make them feel like they're a part of this podcast. We don't want to just do this podcast and just be like, "Hey, it's just me and Rob," and
Yeah.
we don't want to involve anybody else. No, we want to bring the community together and see these people that watch the show or the people that come on the show grow as an artist or as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, that's why we do this, right? Because it's not like we're doing this and have sponsors coming in like the Joe Rogan show, right? He's sponsoring
Right.
all kinds of different products. It really is for the community, by the community, and when we look at it, it's voices of the underground, and you can almost say it's like voices for the underground, where it's like we're able to kind of have this contact with different artists, but it really is like through the members and the listeners, and especially again in Patreon, that's going to afford them the opportunity to get a lot closer than maybe anyone's ever brought them to the artist before.
Yeah, because they see you and I talking to them and bringing these artists on the show so they can actually learn something and, get pick up some tips and tricks from the artists, but be more involved, maybe be able to ask them some questions and all that, be in the live audience.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And they can get in the live audience. They're going to have contact. It's also some of the side things that I'm interested in too. Um, you know, Kevu had done something I thought was really interesting last year, and it was he would do like DJ mixes of his Patreon when he launched it. Ollie James kind of picked up on that, and it kind of fizzled out because not all the songs were so strong, and then the time that it takes. But I think there's going to be some interesting things we're going to be able to do through Patreon, like take some of these songs, feature them within this program, all the eyeballs that are on this program through YouTube, Spotify, and different platforms that we're expanding to in the new year. So there's organic exposure, as opposed to just like, hey, here's a mix, let me just jam it in there. So I think that's a way to do it, like from a promotional standpoint. And then the artists that we're on are then going to hear some of these demos that we select as some of the top tier demos. So, and the feedback from that, I just think is going to be a huge
Right.
value.
Also, we're going to do some VOTU meetups. We're going to be in Las Vegas in May for EDC Las Vegas.
We said Las Vegas. I got to take another shot for this.
Take a shot for me too.
Dude, I know in about 4.7 seconds I'm going to regret this. And I think these bottles are not shots. I think they're a little bigger. So I think this time I might enjoy this a little bit more as opposed to shooting the whole thing. But dude, Vegas is going to be absolutely insane. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to do a Voices of the Underground EDC Las Vegas meetup. We don't know when yet. So if you want to join our Discord, we'll let you guys know as soon as we find out. But yeah, it'll be amazing to meet a lot of these people that watch the show, a lot of these artists that have been on and future artists coming on.
We have guys. We're going to do a live VOTU show.
Yep.
In person with some of the artists. I don't want to give it away yet. I've got a villa up there on the strip, so I'm excited for some of the guys that are coming through. And I hope some of the fans that are going to be there, we get a chance to meet, have them come up, hang out a little bit. As you know, I like to call myself Mr. Las Vegas. I had some of my best years there. It's a great town. I still have some family there, and it's great because it really is an electronic music town, and
all the nightclubs, day parties, the pool parties.
Oh my. And it's great because it really is nice. And for people who haven't been out there for EDC and EDC week, it's not just the festival that's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, that's great. But it is like a big celebration of electronic dance music, right? And it's the pool, like you said, the pool parties, the nightclubs. So you're having headliners not just work the festival, Okay. Cause it's a nocturnal event. These guys are coming in and they're doing like the main clubs and they're doing meetups themselves. And then they're flying in via helicopter to the festival and they throw down their set. So like, it really is like a whole like interactive week process. And it's amazing, man. It's amazing that Vegas is expanded so much, and the nightclubs there are like state of the art stuff. It's a
It's
great
insane.
place to be. Yeah, it's just like a huge celebration. And every one of those guys has residencies there, like Tiesto. And I mean, if you want to throw Marshmallow in there, I personally do not, but I have seen him perform. I've seen him perform. It's not bad. It's not bad. But no, yeah, you have like Martin Garrix is there. He's got a residencies at Caesars. So yeah, it's a great time, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Right. We also have another meetup that we're probably going to do as well too next month in January in New York City.
Oh, that's right.
But
That's right.
unfortunately, Rob is probably not going to be able to be there.
All right. Well, if you fucking guys didn't do it on Martin Luther King weekend, that's a
You
big
guys,
holiday.
it wasn't my idea.
No, it's a great idea though. Yeah, I coach my son's travel boy baseball team now. To a shock to nobody. My wife's super like, oh great.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, no, it's a big commitment, but I'm excited to do it. It's coaching's kind of like really like something that's I've done for quite some time. But yeah, I think I'll be in Arizona that weekend. But no, you're going to be working a huge event, right?
Yeah, right. And a few people that have been on the show are actually going to be there. So, little reunion.
Yeah, our boys A and G, dude. The content for VOTU coming out of that's going to be great. Tell everybody where it's at. Like, what club is this?
It's going to be at the Melrose Ballroom in New York City, January 14th. So, if you guys are out there and you see me, come say hi. We're going to hang out, shoot some content. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, dude. Say My Name is headlining that. You've got a bunch of other artists. Our good friend DJ Guy and Franny J.
Yep.
Shout out to the Progressive House community. I have not always been a supporter of it, but I recognize it's good. But yeah, Franny J, they're going back to back. That's going to be fun for those guys. And yeah, you're going to be in the backstage filming it. Well, I know you're working the crowd a little bit too. That's going to be an electric experience.
Yeah, Dr. Funk, and there's a few other names that I
right.
can't say at the moment. I don't know when the lineup is going to drop the second part.
That's right. We're in phase 2 of the lineup drop, but no, that's going to be fun. Well, let's just put it this way: there's some revealed artists showing up. I think that's fair to say, and if it's not, then you can edit this out. But no, I that's going to be really fun. So if you're in New York, January 14th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then wait, hold on, January 13th, you're going to be spinning, right? You're putting it where it's at Mission, right? Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I will be at Mission Nightclub in New York City on that Friday, January 13th, before the show, January 14th. So, once again, if you guys are there, come on, hang out. We'll have a good time.
It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely great. I'm excited. We have such a big start to the new year. The guests that we got booked already in January is freaking mind blowing.
Yeah, so we have a pretty big guest coming up on the first episode in January. And then we also have a few tweaks to the podcast as well that you guys are going to see and probably enjoy as well. So I'm excited for it, Rob.
I'm excited because I'm putting more Michigan stuff in my studio here, which, by the way, this is the Michigan Wolverines sponsored portion of the show. They did indeed beat Ohio State, and they are in the playoffs. Ty, I
think there's like a 1% fan base that watches this show that cares.
Okay, I'm gonna turn these dudes into fans. Okay, so it's funny because I don't think I've ever cried in front of my wife. I've been married to this woman for a long time. I'm not saying I cried after that game. Got a little glittery eyed, got a little glossy eyed in that. I'm not gonna lie, kind of had to like. Oh, it's such a big win, dude. I've seen so many losing years from, and it's funny because when I was a kid, Michigan would just dominate Ohio State. So that's just for me, like growing up, that's just all I knew. And then that changed in the early like 2000s, and it was 20 years of my adult life. My wife thought it was nuts. Like, this team's awful, and I'm like, no, they're really good, I swear. But yeah, like they kind of like, hey, I'm gonna go grab something out of the kitchen, and really I'm just slamming the tissue box over and over again because these guys won. It was very emotional for me, Tyler.
Yeah, I bet.
Fucking love that team. Love that team. No, but it's great. Sports is growing just amazing. Have you caught any of the World Cup? We
No,
talked
I
World Cup
haven't.
with Kevo.
No, I have
What?
not. I'm the only one out of our friend group that does not watch it. No offense. I haven't
You might
had
be
time.
the only one on the globe that
I
hasn't
probably
seen
am.
it.
Probably am.
Dude, big time matchup. This will come out after the championship game is determined. Big time matchup, Argentina, France. I got Argentina in this thing mainly because I picked them in my bracket to beat my wife's family, who are a bunch of soccer aficionados. So I'm trying to flex a little bit, and I'm hoping Messi gets his first World Cup and he's able to retire in the sunset.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you've been giving us a hard time. And our friend group were going back and forth like, "Oh, you see that goal?" And you're like, "Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Good night. Nice shot. How many runs do they score?" I get World Cup fever every 4 years, man. Like I don't pay attention to soccer too much. My son is like kind of like passively into it. Like anything that's USA, he's all about it. But when the World Cup comes around, I catch the fever, bro. I am like about that life. And now that I'm basically retired doing music for a living, I got all the time at 2 a.m. to watch these games.
Well, speaking of music, kind of wrapping this up and all that, what do you have coming in 2023? Anything special?
Yeah, I got some fun stuff. I can't say quite yet, but there's definitely a couple of collabs I'm really excited about. Some collab ideas that I've bounced off a little bit, and it's going to be in the spring, and again in the summer, I have another solo piece coming out, and it's going to be pretty big. I think it's going to be pretty big. How about you? Now you wait, hold on. Let's rewind before we talk about 2023. You had 2 tracks come out this year, one of which I was a part of. That was an absolute pleasure. That was fun. That was fun. That whole
Perfect
thing.
timing for that one too.
Oh God, our future is techno, and it dropped the Monday after Hardwell set. We actually
Yeah,
got some grief about that. Like,
we
hey, you
did.
guys plan this out? Like, yeah, man. Saw Hardwell set, and in 24 hours, I produced a track and put it in distribution. Like it was fun. But that was fun because we both wanted to try something a little bit different. And then you had another track come out. That was with Franny.
Yeah,
Franny
Franny
J.
J called Show You on Taipan Records.
Nice, 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 nice. Who owns Taipan Records?
Jeffrey Satori's his manager.
That's right. That's right. How'd that track do for you guys?
It's doing pretty well. Can't complain.
You collabed with a revealed artist. That's an inside joke for those who are listening.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, it's great, man. And so what do you have coming up in the new year? You got anything hot?
A few collabs, and I want to actually put out a few solos as well too. So
Okay, so let me ask you this. What are your goals in the new year? Let's talk straight music. We'll leave the whole like quit drinking and smoking gym stuff. We'll leave that to the side. What are your goals musically speaking in the new year?
my goal is to put 3 to 5 songs out and
Okay.
to start DJing a little bit more in more clubs and all that around the area. I want to do something in my hometown, but I just don't. I don't. How do I want to say this? It's hard just with the genre of EDM that's in this area. It's drum and bass and dubstep and all that too. So big room and progressive house and up tempo really doesn't fit too well here. So I'm trying to figure something out.
Yeah, no, I mean, and then HD Takeover, right? You brought that back this year, and you're at episode 156, if memory serves me correct at this
Yeah,
time.
something like that.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like the radio shows probably are a little less popular since
They are.
things are open. But it's still cool to listen to them because you're gonna get nuggets and tracks that you would not ordinarily hear, or interesting IDs because Tuna Vag sent you stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because he sent you some IDs. So like those are like the things that are super cool to hear
Yeah.
that you're just not gonna get it like on Spotify and release till like its release day if you even like know that it's coming out. So I definitely a place, right? Definitely a place for those shows.
Yeah. Doing radio shows and all that keeps you practicing and consistent and just keeps your skill sharp on mixing and all that too. That's another reason why
Yes.
I like doing it.
Yeah, no, it's great practice. It's great practice. So speaking of mixing, 2023, if you had to, I'm going to go, this is a 2-prong question. Okay. Hitting you with 2 prongs here. If you had to, A, which artist would you like to interview the most? And B, which artist would you like to see live the most?
We've talked about it plenty of times before, but W&W interview.
Yeah.
And then Blaster Jacks, which they don't come to the States very often. What about you, Rob?
Oh, I Ben Nicky. Ben Nicky, coming to LA in January. I probably should go see that. Ben Nicky's ridiculous. That dude is ridiculous. Ben Nicky, Will Sparks, those two guys, I think for me
Will
are in a
Sparks, too.
category. Yeah, dude, Will Sparks makes you want to just punch someone in the jaw in the most friendly way possible. You know, like his stuff hits so hard. And so, yeah, those two guys to me, for me, are like heads and shoulders above other people I would want to see. So yeah, I'm definitely, I gotta go see Ben. He's coming to LA in January. That's literally an hour away from me. I have no reason not to go there. How about, let me ask you this, capping off 2022 as we kind of sign off here. Song of the year for you. The number one song, because we all got our Spotify Wrapped. The number one song for Young Ty, what is it?
Probably one of my favorite tracks from this year, I would have to say, is High Low and Space 92 Mercury on Filth on Acid.
Ooh,
That track. Yeah.
that's
What
a
about you,
good
Rob?
one. Oh, for me, it's that 68 out of 100 rated by EDM Reviewer track by Will Sparks called Annihilate. And those motherfuckers gave it a D+. It's funny. Let me tell you what's funny. So here's a track that when he plays it in his sets before it dropped, it just goes bananas, right? Like in the crowd. I mean, it is setting the place on absolute fire because he plays a lot of his stuff before he releases it. So it's so cool to see him out live. It drops unrevealed, huge numbers, crushes it. And then you see guys like on EDM Reviewer guy who's like 102 followers, probably mostly family members. And he's saying, oh, this track is basic. It's the same drop 2 times. Have you ever thought to think EDM Reviewer got it? Maybe I want to fucking hear that drop again. You know what's one of the frustrating things is when you get a sick ass drop and you're expecting you get the build up on the second drop, and guess what happens? It's a fucking like completely different song.
It's changed up. Yep.
Like where did it go?
Sometimes that works. Sometimes that works. Not always.
Sometimes it works, but when you have a drop like that is so heavy, so big, works live, the whole, like it's literally the checklist of EDM songs. Works live, yep. It bangs on your house speakers or your phone speakers, yep. Like, right, like it checks all those boxes, and you get an EDM reviewer. Nah, it's 68 out of 100. It's basic, and they say that as like literally they have very little credentials to be grading people's songs. It's just fantastic. But that is my favorite track of the year. Mostly because of the versatility of it. And I mean, how can you go wrong with Will Sparks? Is that the most complex track of the year?
No,
Is
it's
that
not.
the most complex track? I don't need drops. They're going up and down the scale and everything. For me, I don't need that. I need something that's going to bang. Something that I'm going to remember how I feel when I hear that track. That track, dude, that track is just heavy. So for me, that's the big one. And I think for me, Ty, honorable mention, we're talking about remixes, because that's one of the things I want to do more in 23 is get more to like remixes. I know covers are doing extremely well on Spotify. WW and Axmo dropped a cover today, which was interesting. Tainted Love by our good friend Declane.
Oh, that's a great one.
I love that guy. That guy is really talented. I'm probably impartial because of the era of music that he recreates or kind of puts his take on it. But I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that remix. It was really fun. And like I said, the story behind it was really cool. Speaking of stories, right? Singing in your car. Didn't know that was a thing. I might try that in 20. That's a to-do list in 2023 is get in the Hummer, Ty, and let's just see if I can record something.
The fucking Hummer. Did I ever tell you that I used to do like voiceovers for HG Takeover in the car sometimes when it was too noisy in the house?
No, I did not know that.
You got to do what you got to do, man, at the end of the day.
Imagine my neighbor seeing me in this Hummer. And yes, and yeah, people listening, like if you don't know what Hummer is, because they stopped making them, it's a big yellow car that looks
it's a tank on wheels.
Yeah, like if we have a zombie apocalypse, feel free to like hitch a ride with me. I got you. That's the kind of car it is. I'm gonna do it, Ty. I'm gonna do that in January is I may even film one of these shows in the fucking Hummer. I may even if the acoustics are that good, I might try it.
Can you imagine?
Oh, dude. But yeah, no, but needless to say, it's been a great year.
It has been.
Both for the show, for the industry. We are in the golden era, guys. We are in the new golden era of EDM. The explosion is here. You are in it. And I would say what I learned from 09, 010, 11 is I'm going to appreciate this golden era a lot more, regardless if it's the genre of music that I listen to the most or not. I'm going to appreciate that electronic dance music is not only alive and well, it's thriving. And that for me is like my biggest 2023 goal is to simply appreciate the art because we don't know how long it's going to be around for. Everything goes in cycles and hip hop might kick up again or whatever might kick up again. So I love this era. I'm going to live in this era and I'm going to appreciate this era.
Yeah. And with that being said, this has been a great podcast, a great year, like Rob said. Hope everybody has a great Christmas and a happy New Year's. And we will see you guys on the next episode in January. Have a good one, everyone.